gets fast, so we're starting right on 6:30. I don't know why. Whatever I do, I just set it back and it always gets fast. So, thank you all for being here tonight. I really, really appreciate it. Let me close this door over here. I appreciate the time that you're taking to be here. One of the big things is I know that you take 30 minutes of your time, and I thank you for taking that time, being away from your family, doing things that are important to you to learn how to take care of your body. One of the big things that we are really about, what? I didn't even know you were here. One of the big things is that we stress the importance of education in our office. Some of you that have been here years ago, we used to do that, but now it's much more formalized. And one of the reasons we do that is that I just ask you to be open-minded. You know, be open enough to say, okay, there's one nugget of information that I may be able to take with me. My hope is that you can use it out when you leave here. I have found that over the years that people that become more engaged in their care and educate themselves about stuff and are much more, you know, they start changing their mindset and their thought processes start to change towards, oh, is this good for my body? Is this not good? Am I doing things correctly? Is my body adapting better? Is it healing quicker? Those are the things that we're looking for. Ultimately, as a chiropractor, I was having a conversation with someone today about how it is that people don't really think about the things that they're doing to themselves until it's too late, until something starts to happen where they have to take care of it, and then at that point they decide that they want to switch. They just want to switch their, the way they're doing things. All of a sudden they have a shift in their mindset. I'd like to help you have a shift in your mindset, taking care of yourself before it becomes a problem. And that's the key. Obviously, we have to help you correct whatever problems you may have come in with. And you know, being a doctor of chiropractic, my job was never really to fix pain, but ultimately, most of you come in with some sort of discomfort or pain. Seth, did you sign in, sir?
No.
Okay, I'll leave it up here. And you know, ultimately, it's to make sure that your body's at a better place, functioning better, the nervous system's functioning better, so it can help to resolve the issues you may be having. But I would be remiss to say that I don't care about your pain. I do, okay? But I want you to understand that sometimes the pain is there for a reason. There's a reason why it's there. It's telling you, hey, something's wrong, you know, and we need to address it, and we need to make sure those things are going on. So having said that, tonight, this is our third week of the month. The third week of the month, we're always doing a nutritional workshop, okay? If you know people that are interested, you might have heard some of this stuff. Maybe some of it's going to be new. I don't know, okay? But you might know people that are interested in stuff like this. Have them either watch it on Facebook, come in, visit with you, see what's going on here, because ultimately our community is you guys, okay? Is you guys making the effort to speak to people and say to them, hey, you need to check this out, maybe, you know, and if you care about somebody, you're going to confront them. I had a young gentleman come in earlier who said, you know, he said he didn't want to be around his parents or something like that. He was 15 or 16 years old, who has teenagers who have like said stuff like that, you know. And I go, you know what? Your parents, if they didn't care about you, they wouldn't confront you, they wouldn't say things to you, and they wouldn't look out for you. Okay, so be nice to them, you know. You know, and I've known him since he was young, so I could talk to him that way. But ultimately, we want to give you that information. So having said that, what we're going to be talking about tonight is GMOs. Does anybody know what GMO stands for?
Genetically modified organism.
Right, okay. Genetically modified organism. One of the things that may surprise you, when you see it, may surprise you, may not surprise you, you may know some of this stuff. Genetically modified organisms are what is not some sort of additive to the food. It's literally they're changing the structure of whatever it is they're growing. They're hybridizing it or trying to get certain gene processes to go to make it more resistant to more or not more resistant. But it has really gone to the other end. I mean, it has really gone to They do it in everything. You know, everything that you eat somewhere along the line, I'm sure, unless you are really, really adamant about looking at everything that you get, may have some sort of genetically modified organism in it. Wheat has been genetically modified since the 50s. Corn, soy, all of this stuff has been genetically modified. Like someone said last time I was speaking, when I was in one of my other nutrition classes, they said somewhere around like 90 or 95% of the soy is genetically modified. And I was like, okay, I'm not sure if that's true. I've been looking for it to see if it is, but it wouldn't be so hard to believe with everything that's going on right now. So why talk about this? Well, why do you think they would genetically modify an organism in the first place?
Like tomatoes, they genetically modify them so that they withstand chipping. They got a harder skin. They don't bruise as easy.
Right, so they look prettier.
They look pretty.
Yeah, you know, they look nicer, right? So that
They taste like.
they don't taste good, but that's true.
Well, they get cows to make them produce more milk too.
Yeah, they do that too. Okay, that's true too. What else?
Higher yield.
Higher yield. Okay, higher yield is a big one because especially they also do it for resistance. Yeah, it brings in more. But the thing is a lot of it, you know, it's just sustainability. You know, it's just figuring out how to sustain. I mean, a lot of the grains that are grown now are very deficient in nutrients because they don't rotate crops. And what they do is they just genetically modify stuff to grow wherever there is, and then you're not getting the nutrients you need. So there's an important thing to understand that. So what is a GMO? That's what we've been talking about. A GMO is a plant developed through a process in which a copy of a desired gene or a section of a genetic material from one plant or organism is placed in another plant. So what they do is they hybridize it. The only GMOs commercially available in the U.S. are the following 8 crops: soybeans, corn, papaya, canola, cotton, alfalfa, sugar beets, and summer squash. And this surprised me because I was like, really, summer squash? Because that's really popular. You know, that's really popular. So the thing is, even if you're buying it from local people, you need to know where they got this stuff from. Okay, you need to know because they might be planting a seed that they don't know that's genetically modified. So you have to ask them where these things are coming from. But I would always say try to buy local because the food's going to be fresher. Okay, and you're supporting your local growers and everything of that nature. So does anybody remember any of their high school genetics? I'm going to put something up here. And I remember, what was the guy's name? Mendel. He did something with peas. It was really weird. But it was a simple box like this, and then they would put X's and Y's. So XX, XY, XX, XY. So what would happen is they would look at how these things mix, and this is actually the genetic factors for how you get a female or a male. You know, the genetic factor, is it an X genome or is it a Y genome? But they can actually play with these things now, and cause all kinds of crazy things. So you have to be, you know, it's really a simple process to change it. It's just a matter of what you're looking for. They even genetically modify animals now, because if you think about it, any of the AKC animals that you find, the American Kennel Club, the dogs, the pure breed dogs, what do they do usually?
Inbreed them.
They inbreed them, right? They select certain characteristics and then they inbreed them to get certain characteristics out. Okay, but what does that cause?
All kinds of problems.
It causes all kinds of illnesses and sicknesses. It really does. I was the other
It's like
day.
marrying your cousin.
Yeah, well, yeah, and that happens. There was a joke when I went to school down south. I wouldn't even go there.
Oh, it's...
You know. So, but go ahead, Barbara.
In border collies, it causes deafness.
Yeah, there's deafness. That's in Dalmatians too.
Yeah.
There's a lot of things that can
It's very
happen. That can
difficult
happen.
to deal with a deaf dog, because it isn't only what you do, but it's when they run away or something.
Right.
They can't hear a car, or they can't hear.
Right.
You know,
And-
it's pathetic, really.
And these are the things that happen. So if you think about it, they're doing it with creatures and animals, and they're doing this. They're also doing it with the plants, and you know, you don't know what's going to happen. You don't know. I mean, they do some genetic modifications to help avoid insects. Okay, well, what are they putting in there? What are they doing? You don't know, and it's really scary. I mean, and it was interesting. Like I was talking to someone. I was going into the Newell Post, which is the breakfast place down here, and went in to get breakfast. I know them, and there was a gentleman sitting out in the parking lot, and he had a dog that looked like a German Shepherd, but it was liver and sable color. It was like a light reddish white color. And I was looking at it, I was like, wow, that looks like a Shepherd. So I asked the gentleman, I go, is he friendly? And I go, what kind of dog is that? It was a German Shepherd. And what they used to do is, now they breed white German Shepherds, but what they used to do is if there was a Shepherd that was born not of the stock or color that they wanted, they would shoot it. They would kill it. And I was like, wow, that's cool. Okay, but the thing is, you have to understand that we, as a species, develop genetic changes, and we modify ourselves according to what we expose ourselves to. Okay, so the thing is, now we're exposing ourselves to things that what people think is good for us. Okay, so you have to really think. It's really a thought process. He's banging on the drum. It's fine. There's a drum in there. Yes, the people bring all their noisy instruments and noisy toys here when they want to get rid of them, so the kids can play with them. But that's okay. So if we go into the next page here. Well, just here. Genetically modified organisms are plants or animals that have been genetically engineered with DNA from bacteria, viruses, or other plants and animals. Experimental combinations of genes from different species cannot occur in nature or in traditional crossbreeding. That's important to know because it doesn't naturally occur. If it doesn't naturally occur, is it necessarily better or good? That's a whole other issue question that we could talk about. Okay, what GMO isn't? GMO is not an ingredient. Ingredients in the food you eat may be made using one of the more of the 8 genetically modified crops, which I have a list of if we've been handing it out this week. GMOs do not equal processed food. Processed foods may contain one or more of the 8 genetically modified crops, so they can be made with organic or other non-GM ingredients. So the thing is, you have to understand the differences. If I'm in your way. No, you're good. Okay. You have to understand the differences. It's not just processed foods that it's in. It's in stuff that you buy right off that is supposed to be raw and fresh for you. Okay, and it's supposed to be healthy for you. So you have to be very, very aware of it. One of the things that really strikes me about the crossbreeding type thing is exactly what we were just talking about. The illnesses that come up, like Angela pointed out, are bound and are so much so that you'll start hearing things like like with the cows getting certain sorts of mad cow disease. Where did that come from? Who knows? Or things like the calves that they use for veal are they're just not treated properly. So these are the types of things that you really, really have to be aware of because you're eating this stuff and you have to think about how may it be affecting us. And if you look at our species and our culture recently, 50% of the kids more are obese. Okay, we have autoimmune diseases out the window. Everybody's getting sick. Most people don't think of diabetes as an autoimmune disease, but it is. Okay, so the thing is, you have to remember are there factors that we're looking at or we're bypassing because of this. So why GMO? Genetically modified organisms, we talked a little bit about this, are done to achieve a desired trait. One is insect resistance, okay? One is drought resistance, so this way they can grow it whether it be in good or bad seasons. Herbicide tolerance, crops that can tolerate broad spectrum herbicides like the agrochemical glyphosate. So they actually create a genetically modified organism so it can accept more herbicides. That sounds great. I mean, I don't get it. And that's why I always say, has anybody here ever grown their own vegetables and stuff? Yeah, it's not always easy. It's not easy. You got to get in there. You got to, But when they're mass producing stuff, they have to make it easy. And it's very hard. It's hard, but so what ends up happening is it allows farmers to fight the weeds and participate in no-till methods that preserve topsoil and prevent erosion. Great. So they're not tilling at all. Why is tilling so important? Yeah, and they're stopping that. It makes no sense. I don't understand. Increased or enhanced nutritional content. Genetically modified soybeans with a healthier oil profile are used in new heart healthy soybean oil. Whether it's heart healthy or not, I don't know. I mean, I don't trust anything that's not made naturally. If there was a reason for the soybeans not to have that specific amount of oil in it, I think there's a reason for that to happen. So I don't know why we fool with it. Are GMOs safe? So this is interesting. Most developed nations do not consider GMOs to be safe. In more than 60 countries around the world, including Australia, Japan, and all of the countries in the European Union, there are significant restrictions or outright bans on the production and sale of GMOs. In the U.S., the government has approved GMOs based on studies conducted by the same corporations that created them and profit from their sale. Increasingly, Americans are taking matters into their own hands and choosing to opt out of the GMO experiment. So there's a whole thing right now that you can go in and find out what's GMO, what's not GMO. I don't remember if it's in this slideshow, but it might be. But okay, so we're usually ahead of the game in some stuff, but why is it that 60 other countries don't ban this stuff? I mean, they can't all be wrong. Or can we just be that arrogant that we can say, yeah, we're right and they're wrong?
Well, are they American-owned companies?
Huh?
Are they American-owned companies that are
Money.
beside? Yeah.
Well, that I'm not even touching the whole concept of what do they call that?
Geopolitical.
Yeah, well, the political, but oh my God, theories, conspiracy theories. Sorry, I'm not even going into the whole conspiracy theories there. You and I, Angela, could probably agree on a lot of this stuff. So there's definitely a lot that goes on. I mean, I do a whole talk on vaccines that addresses a lot of that stuff too. But there is a lot of the thing is you have to look at the lobbyist groups and who supports these things. If you look at the original food charts, I don't know about you guys, when I was growing up, it was the 4 food groups, you know, the little square with the food, and now it's the pyramid with the 6, you know, and that's now changed. That, huh?
It's a plate now.
It's a plate now, okay. And, you know, so it changes, and I look at it, you know, so it was the pyramid, now it's the plate, you know, and they tell you, you know, do, you know, 6 to 11 servings of grains and 6 to 11 servings of dairy and all this stuff. Who do you think created it? Who supported, who gave the monies behind it? They did. Okay, the grain and dairy industries were the ones that originally funded those things. Okay, and the meat packing industry, they were the ones that funded it, and those were the groups of foods that you were supposed to eat. You have to start thinking about it. You have to start thinking about it. So that's why I always tell people, at least when you're making the decisions to buy something, look at it. But it's, you know, people say, oh, it's hard, it's more expensive. It's not. It's different. You know, it's just different way of looking at things. It's not hard. You just have to be conscientious of it. And that's the whole idea behind this. So, God, there we go. Do Americans want non-GMO foods and supplements? Polls consistently show that a significant majority of North Americans would like to be able to tell if the food they're purchasing contains GMOs. And a 2012 Melbourne Group Control found that 91% of the American consumers wanted GMO labeled. Okay. According to a recent CBS New York Times poll, 53% of the consumers said they would not buy food that had been genetically modified. That's a pretty big percentage of people. Okay? I mean, if you think about 53% of our population, that's what? 175 million people at least? 175 million, right? So the non-MGO project seal for verified products will, for the first time, give the public an opportunity to make an informed choice when it comes to GMOs. So there is an actual seal that they're coming out, the non-GMO project, and that's a website you can go to and see what's going on. So you can actually research where your foods are coming from. If you're, yes, go ahead.
So I've seen that non-GMO project thing on packages, but what about it when you go to buy a fresh vegetable, for example?
That's where you have the challenge. That's where you have the challenge, because it's hard to say, okay, here, let's put this label on all the stuff. Go ahead.
I believe organic, if you buy organic, it cannot contain GMO seeds.
Yeah,
That's the way
and
it's
that's true.
going.
And there's a whole workshop on organics, on how organic it has to be labeled organic. And with a vegetable or a raw vegetable or a fruit, you can't, you know, it can't only be 90% organic, but it can be used only 90% of the time. You know, like they can say, oh, 90% of the stuff we use as fertilizer is organic. You know, so you know, so those are the things that you have to look at. There's so many ways, there's so many loopholes that you have to look at, that you have to be aware of with these things. So Impacts of GMOs on the environment. Over 80% of all GMOs or genetically modified organisms grown worldwide are engineered for herbicide tolerance. So that's a big one. As a result, use of toxic herbicides like Roundup has increased 15 times since GMOs were introduced. GMO crops are also responsible for the emergence of superweeds and superbugs, which can only be killed with ever more toxic poisons like 2,4-D, a major ingredient in Agent Orange. GMOs are a direct extension of chemical agriculture and are developed and sold by the world's biggest chemical companies. Long-term impacts of GMOs are presently unknown, and once released into the environment, these novel organisms cannot be recalled. So, what does this all mean? Let's stop for a second and think about what's happened in on the human side of things. What is the thing that was overprescribed the most in the past 40 or 50 years? Antibiotics, right? What happened?
Everybody became immune.
There were superbugs that were developing, okay? And our bodies were not learning how to naturally fight these immune systems. And I'm not saying that they're not necessary at all. There is time and place for stuff like that. Absolutely, okay? But the thing is, overuse brought about a whole other bunch of issues. Guess what's happening here? Now you have super weeds. Okay, things that are overcoming that. You have to develop strong. What is the strongest antibiotic that's out there right now? Usually it's vancomycin that they give in the hospitals. I mean, it's pretty, and what's the other one? Ceflex, I think. There might be something even stronger. I'm not sure, but those are two big ones when they want to give you a broad spectrum, something that to kill a huge major sepsis or something, that's what they give you. And for people that they have no idea, sometimes they do that because it just kills everything, basically. Okay, well, guess what? They're doing the same thing with these plants, and now what they have to do is they have to come out with stronger and stronger herbicides that get soaked into our ground. And once these organisms are introduced into our soils, into our ground, because they don't cut down the whole stalk, take out the whole stalk and root. Now what's ending up happening is it's getting mixed into our soil. And now these herbicides are getting mixed into our soil. So how sustainable is that? Are we getting sick? Are we getting the nutrients we need from our foods? You really got to be aware of it. It's just something that most people don't think about, because this is a large problem, because it's there. So those are the big things that we need to look at, and it's being used, and we're killing it, and we're using more and more and more and more. Okay, and my wife, I call her the nutrition police. I love her dearly. She's like, no, don't eat that, and I'm like, yeah, my body's gonna learn how to eat it anyway, you know. But the thing is, on average, I eat better than the average person. I eat mostly organic. We eat good foods, but periodically I want my ice cream. I want my burger that's, from the store. It's, you can't always eat, but you can make choices. You can make choices. So, if you're going to go somewhere to eat and you want healthier food, maybe you're going to go to a place like Panera, which has good foods, good salads. Or you're going to go to somewhere like a Be Good, or what's the other place that we always, Tucker's, which is all homegrown stuff from around the area. The thing is, you have to be aware of where they're getting the foods and what people are doing. Are they responsible for it? If you're going to go out, if you're not, the best way to do is eat at home, because then you know what you're eating and what you're getting. Okay, a lot of people don't do that anymore. Who goes out at least twice a week? Okay, that's good. In a majority of room, most people go out at least twice a week. Especially in busy families and things of that nature. So the thing is, at least now you guys are knowing what you can do to actually eat better. Okay, and one of the major issues, one of the major problems, what's really hard too, is people that it's trouble for them to get food, or they can't afford it. They get food stamps and stuff, and when they go buy junk. Okay, they need to understand that this is important, because if they want to get healthy, if they're responsible enough to say, I want to do something about it, they'll buy the good stuff. Okay, and they'll learn where they can get it less expensive. Okay, my wife is always she always knows when the sales are, like when things are going to get reduced. She's really frugal that way, and you should see our freezer. It's full of organic meats and stuff like that. And people are like, oh, it's so expensive. I'm like, no, we didn't pay any more than anybody else did for any other foods, because she knows how to shop. She knows when to go, where to go. what days to go, and then she goes in and gets the stuff. You know, so it's really important. So this is the label that we were talking. It says non-GMO project. Does not mean organic. Okay, so you were saying most organic things. It does not mean organic, but it just means there's no GMOs in it. So here is an example of a GMO label, and it's hard to read on here, I apologize, but in here it tells you it's partially processed with genetically engineered materials. It actually says it on the soup can. Okay, so the thing is you can find it, you just have to read the labels.
There's more and more cans and stuff that have that nowadays. But
Yeah, and the thing is,
it's not within the ingredients, you have to look for it.
you have to look for it on the
It's
label.
a lot more common than what it used to be even a couple of years
Yeah.
ago. I don't know if there's a new law or something, but it's
Yeah, a few years back, they had put in something like they changed the labels and what they had to put on the labels and stuff. They review that every but you can find it. It's there. Okay, so the thing is, if you are aware of it, you know it's there. But a lot of people don't even know what to look for. You know, you just have to look, but you know it's in little writing. You see, I can't even get it to read on here. It's in little tiny writing. So if I take my glasses off, I can't read that. You know, so those are the big things that we'll look at. So having said that, I thank you all for being here. It's been 30 minutes of information. And how many of you knew all of the stuff that was on there? Most of it? That's okay. Most of it? Okay. Is there anything on there that you can take from this talk that you can bring home with you that you did not know?
Yeah, I didn't know they put labels on cans, that they have it, I did not know that.
That you didn't know. You see, so that
I
now.
knew the GMO label, but or the non-GMO, but I didn't know that they were told that they had to put it on.
Yeah, it's actually on there. You know, it's actually on there now. So there's one thing. If I can ask you, take one action step from this workshop. Write down something that that you think that will help you to understand how to just eat healthier. Okay, to do the things that are necessary for you to be healthier. You know, and invite people. You know, invite people. Let them learn with you. Because if we can teach people, we can teach people how to take care of themselves. We have a better community. We have a healthier community. And you know what? If you guys have ideas on workshops or things that you'd like to hear about, let me know. Because that's the big thing. I want you to get the information that you want. And there's a lot. I have probably over 200 different types of workshops that I've done over the years that I can always incorporate and update and use. And a lot of the times I'll do these workshops and there's new information that comes out. You know, so those are the things that I have to look at. You know, now I have to look at the plate. You know, I mean, it's like it's hard. You know, when I was in school, that stuff. I have a Bachelor of Science in dietetics and nutrition. That stuff was like, it was not taught like this. You know, so those are the big things. Are there any questions? Awesome. 30 minutes, we are done. You guys have a great night, and please take something home with you to use.
Thank you.